Hello and welcome to another coloring video. And this time I will be coloring my new theme for the YouTube banner at the top. What you're seeing now is I'm trying to get this picture of myself scaled down properly. It keeps getting too small because I'm making the numbers too small. So what I do is I take the length and width of the image, and then using a calculator, I just divide that in half, and then that was actually the correct size that I wanted. So I was able to position that, and I began coloring. What you're also seeing is that I started with a purple background, and then I changed it to gray. And that was because I decided, well, I wanted a bright colored background because, I was wearing dark clothes, whatever. But then I was like, this is way too much purple. And, purple's not even really one of my favorite colors. I like purple, but it's like, this is way too much purple. And, it would probably clash a lot with the green that I was going to be adding later. So then I thought, oh, I know. I'll take the gray from my icon that I had just colored, and I will use that color as the background. So in the last video I just did a couple weeks ago, my commentary for that was not particularly the best, and a lot of that had to do with things were happening on screen, and I didn't really know what to say about them, because by the time I had formulated a thought to say about it, that was already way gone. It was like, well, now I have to think about something else to talk about, so it was just constant scatterbrained, I guess is a good way of putting it. And it's like I didn't really know what to add there, and it's like there were so many things I wanted to talk about, but they just happened too quickly, and I couldn't really formulate a clear idea of what I was looking for. My plan is to improve my commentary. I've created a list of things that I want to talk about throughout the video, and I'm not going to really worry about what's happening too much on screen. There will be a couple of instances where something does happen, and I will try to talk about that as it happens, but for the most part I'm going to be focusing on my list and, getting through the things that I want to talk about, and kind of going into different avenues that way. That'll hopefully streamline these processes. And I'm also going to be taking the time to actually, do more than one recording of this, because I did the commentary just kind of like a dry run, brains spilling out onto the webcam, whatever, and then I realized that I hadn't plugged in my good microphone, and the audio was terrible. It was peaking, and it was all cracked and broken, and no matter how much I lowered that audio, it just sounded terrible. So I was like, you know what? No, let's go get the good microphone. It's only downstairs. Stop being lazy. Go get the microphone. I set that up, and now it's here we are. But I also kind of wanted to take a moment to just discuss another reason why my commentaries and this, and then my critical critiques were just was all over the place. It's off the wall, it's bouncing around. I told you again that things happening on screen can be distracting to me, and it's I'm trying to formulate ideas, and those things are already gone, and new things are already here, and it's all that. But the other problem I keep having is I'm expecting things to come up, and it's oh, I want to talk about that when that comes up. That's good. I want to talk about that. But the problem I run into is that when I create a thought to try to describe anything, it's the beginning and the end. And then there's just random things that happen in the middle, and it's up to me in an instant to try to put those into the right order of way I want to say them. And it's confusing at first, because it's well, it goes right from the beginning to the end with things sprinkled throughout the middle. It's well, how does that's not a story, that's not a way to describe anything. That'd be you read the first chapter of a book, and then you read the last chapter of a book, and then you read random chapters throughout, and then eventually you go back and you read the whole book throughout. And it's but you already know things are coming up, but you don't know when in the book they're coming up, because it's like, say the chapters weren't numbered, so it's like you know how it begins, you know how it ends, and then you know like scenes in the middle, but you don't really know anything else. And that's kind of how my brain like works, and it processes information. And it's like when I try to get ideas out into the world where other people can hear them and process them and think about them, it just comes out this like jarbled mess of like not really having anything going for it. It's like it's really hard for now other people to take what I just said and make sense of that, because it's like it barely made sense coming out. How am I going to make sense of it going in? It's like, but for me, I'm like, yeah, I did it. They know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're sitting there shaking their head like, I have no idea what this guy just said. What I'm doing in the video right now, and I have been for the whole time I've been speaking, is I'm just kind of like taking a image of myself like mid-kick, and I'm separating myself from the background so that I could have like do whatever I wanted with the background. I end up leaving the background mostly just that plain gray, but it's like, it's the idea behind it of, it's like, I was trying to go for like this like kind of radiating energy coming off of me, hence the green border around me, and then later you'll see I add some other like green lightning effects around me. And I also was kind of going for like in the Saints Row 4 protagonist, where it's like when he uses his superpowers, he's got like these trails of energy coming off of him, and I was like kind of like trying to do something like that, where it's like I'm like literally like radiating energy, and while most of the time I am reserved and like, you know, staying with myself, it's like there are moments where it's like just intense creativity, where it's like I just want to sit down, focus this project, bang it out completely, like get this project done. And that can be pretty intense for some people, and other times it's like I'm not interested at all. I will not touch anything. It's just like, hey Matt, you had this project sitting here from like 6 years ago, you want to work on it? I'll just be like, nah, I can't do that. And then other times it'll be like, hey Matt, here's a cool idea, and I'll just be like, cool, I'm gonna go do it right now. And then I'll like come back like an hour or two later, and I'll be like, yeah, I finished it. And they'll be like, yeah, don't you want to work on it some more? No, I finished it. Why would I work on it some more? It's like, Matt, you didn't really you didn't do the best you could do here. And I'm like, yeah, but that's all I want to work on it now. I'm moving on to the next thing. So it's very much like it's both like I'm intensely passionate about certain things, but it's also impatience, and it's a lot of I want this project to be done so I can move on to the next thing, but it's like I want it to just come out perfect. Why can't I just like draw an image and it just comes out exactly the way I thought of it in my head? What do you mean I have to put effort into it? No, I didn't sign up for that. But and that's just kind of my whole process is just like I have an idea of how it looks, and then especially if I'm working on it and it doesn't start to look like that, and it really kind of either falls apart or just like doesn't like pan out the way I expected, I just kind of like lose all interest in it, and it becomes a chore, and I just kind of drop it, and I'm like, I'll come back to this, and then I never come back to it. That's kind of like what happened with my animation that had been like going on for, no joke, 3 years. You know, I could have finished that project in 6 months if I had actually tried. But then as soon as it started to just like, you know, the creativity within 2 weeks was dead, and I was just like, I have to finish this now. I started it. I told like whoever that I was gonna like make this animated video for his like song or whatever, and I'm like, I have to do this. And then it became a chore, and it became I have to work on it. And then I worked myself so much of it, I got sick of it, and I was just like, I can't look at this project, and I didn't touch it for like 6 months. That happens so frequently in just my day-to-day life, where it's like I will work on something so much that I just hate it. It's like I can't even look at you. And then like later I'll come back and have a little bit more creativity, be like, man, I really want to work on this again. And then as I'm working on it again, it will just start taking longer and longer, and then it like, you know, goes quickly back into the chore of just, I can't work on this anymore. And then I'll take another like 3-month break, and then I'll have like a burst of creativity again, and I'll come back and I'll just be like, nah, I'm good. The time it took to complete this process over the course of about 3 days was probably in the ballpark of 4 hours. I spent about 2 hours on the first day coloring the entire background gray, getting me out of the background and like just having a gray background. That took about 2 hours. The lettering part, that was the longest of the parts that I recorded. That took a whole day by itself, and that was about an hour and a half of just coloring these letters, trying to get them to work the way I wanted. And in the end, I was just like, I'm done with these letters. They're fine. Put them out. And then the shortest, ironically, was the next part, which was the adding of the lightning. And that took about 40 to 45 minutes. So now we get to the fun part of the video, where we get to take a look at the lettering. Oh boy, what a barrel full of monkeys these letters were. I don't know if any of you have ever seen my handwriting, but it's terrible. I know you may have seen it in the signature of my images or whatever in the corner, and you thought, oh, it looks bad, but that's because he's drawing it with a trackpad. But no, it's pretty terrible to begin with. Block lettering has always been one of those things where it's like I could usually make that look pretty good. It never came out really good, but it came out better than my normal writing. Because it was big and blocky, and you couldn't, it's hard to mess up that. What I did here that was my mistake is I was like, oh, I'll just use these guidelines that come with the program, and I will be able to make these perfect spaced block letters. Oh, perfect. There you go. I don't even have to worry about the spacing of these letters. And then I quickly realized that this was a mistake, but it was too late to go back. And the reason it was a mistake is, one, I can't visualize letters apparently. And two, I can't, the mouse would auto-track to the guideline. So as you're trying to do a curve or anything that wasn't a straight line on the guideline, as soon as you got near it, it would boop, auto-track to the guideline. And, that was fun. But again, it was the main problem I was running into is visualizing these letters in space. Whereas if I'm drawing them out on a page, in real life, or just, I could space them out properly, and I could, each letter has its own unique spacing, and I'd be able to, do that. But with this program, it's trying to have all the spaces the same size, and trying to confine certain letters into these spaces and then making them look normal sitting next to other letters that don't fit in those spaces, and it's just trying to get the spacing all right and stuff. It was very hard to do and very difficult for me to visualize. And there are a couple of cases with some of the letters, when I'm drawing the D, the R, the S, and the G. It's those letters where it's they're not comprised of mostly straight lines. There are a lot of curves in those lines. That was really hard for me to draw, because it's I'm sitting there as I was doing it, I was yeah, I know what a D looks like. And I try to draw it, and I'm oh, I don't know what a D looks like at all. Okay, I gotta edit all this and fix all that. And then it's S. Oh, I know what an S looks like. I've drawn S's all my... Oh, I can't draw an S. I don't know what an S looks like. Here I go. And that happens a lot in my art, where it's oh yeah, I know what this thing is. I don't have to look this up. I don't know what that thing is. I should have looked it up, and now it's too late. Now I just have to keep going. While I struggle with these letters, I'm also going to just quickly describe a couple of upcoming projects that I'm going to be working on. If not this year, then definitely next year. One of which is going to be the return of a kind of movie reviews style segment. Maybe a little of me and my brother sharing ideas about a film or something, but I feel like most of them are going to just be me talking about them. And I'm going to try and do a better format than the one I did, and most of that is because I was way more focused about getting the videos out at a specific time every other Monday, rather than whether or not the video was any good. It's like a lot of those videos came down to 2 minutes of just me going, yeah, it was a pretty good film. I'd watch it again. That's about it. See you guys next time. And it's like, that's not a movie review. That's just a movie recommendation. And you don't need to have a 2.5 minute or 3-4 minute video for a movie recommendation. So I am going to try to, and the other problem stemmed from the fact that I didn't see any of the movies that I was talking about. It's like, yeah, I brought up, a movie on my shelf of DVDs, but it's like I hadn't seen that movie in like 5 years. So it's like I can't really describe anything about that movie. I remember the gist of it, and that's what you got with my reviews. It was the gist of it. It was, hey, yeah, the gist of it was good. Go check it out. When I do bring back my movie reviews, I am going to actually watch the film. I'm going to do what I did for this video, just kind of like write a list of things I'd want to talk about. I'm going to try to keep a short format, but I'm not going to worry about the format. I'm not going to worry about getting the videos out every other Monday or anything like that. No, it's like, it's going to be hey, do I feel like watching a movie and talking about it? Yeah, let's do that. And, I'm not just gonna talk about movies I already did. I'm gonna go back and fix those, but it's like I do have plans to talk about the new movies that have come out that I want to talk about as well, and, share my thoughts on about that. I have a couple other projects that I'm working on. Let me get my list out. One of the other projects I was thinking of possibly doing was maybe getting into more like multiplayer games, because it's like me and my friends hang out, and I think it might be fun if for at least a couple of videos me and my friends played some games together. If you're interested in that, let me know. Let's see, I have a couple of short skit ideas written down that I haven't filmed yet because it's been too cold or been too busy or whatever. Let's see, one of my friends plays guitar. He's really good, so I was planning on maybe doing something with that. I'll let you know if I move on any of those. Again, it's 50-50 whether or not I'll actually do anything with this. Yeah, because I have a notebook here of a lot of different, just like any idea that I think would be funny. I just write down and put into this notebook here. Like one of them I have written down here is a reading your comments video, but because I don't really get too many comments on my videos, I was going to try to do more of a parody version where it's I'll have completely unrelated comments or something, and it's or comments that aren't to me. And you just be like, alright guys, welcome to another reading your comments. Yeah. Wait, this one? And then I don't know. I have plans to do something with that. But yeah, so, that's just a quick look into a little bit of the projects that I have coming up. But definitely the main one is the return to critical critiques and trying to fix that series and make that a good series. Because while it wasn't bad, again, like I said, it wasn't a movie review series. It was a movie recommendation series, and it was mediocre at best, and at worst, it was terrible. But that's just, So, if any of those projects I just kind of briefly mentioned there, catch your eye and you'd be interested in seeing those, just let me know. Because honestly, I'm just throwing anything at the wall that might stick at this point. So, at this part, I began to make my G, and for Nightmare. And, man, I really should have, like, because I looked up what a G looked like or something, and this is really, like, when it was, like, it's, like, the last letter, and it's, like, I've been working on this for an hour and a half, I just want this to be done. But it's, like, I know what G's look like, and then I start drawing, and I'm like, I know what they look like, and they don't look like this, but that's good enough. I guess I'm done with this. And I was going to be coloring more, but I was like, nah, I'm done. So this is the part of that I recorded on the third day, and this one, again, was the shortest part. This one was about 40 minutes, and this was just focusing on the light effects and lightning around my feet, and just trying to, like, make that look both believable and cool, and kind of capture the spirit that I was going for. And much like the letters, a lot of this was, I know what lightning looks like, let's draw that. I don't know what lightning looks like at all, I've never seen lightning. Where am I? How did I get here? And, again, that's just how I do a lot of these projects. And, lightning is also different from just 2D letters that are floating in space behind you, because it's like, lightning moves, it has to, like, you have to make it look alive, but also it's a still image, and it's not impossible, people have done it before, but it's like, it's difficult to visualize. It's like, again, a lot of my shortcomings in art comes from visualization. It's like, I have an idea in my head, and then when I try to bring it onto the page, the idea in my head, like, disappears, and I'm like, is this what I was thinking of originally, or can I only visualize what I've just drawn? Is this good? Does anyone like this? I don't know. And that just comes with the territory, unfortunately. But overall, this whole project was kind of a fun little thing to do. It's a lot of it was just busy work. It's like, besides the letters that were absolutely infuriating, most of it was just like, if you put on a good podcast or a couple of music videos or whatever, you don't even realize it's been like an hour or 2 hours. And, you can just kind of enjoy the time that you spend working on it. And, like I was saying earlier, if I had actually, like, wanted to sit down and make this absolutely perfect, the way I envisioned it in my head, that would have taken a lot longer. And that's because I am the classic example of the robot that loves to play, the huge symphonies, but was given, like, clanky robot claw hands. It's like, it's not that I don't have the ability to learn how to draw, like, the things I see in my head. It's just that more of, it's like, I don't have the patience to do that. I don't have the patience to sit there for not hours getting the right form and shape, because it's like, I can get the basic form and the shapes that I want with my line work. It's the coloring that it's like, it's the same thing I had with my animation, where it's like, I finished the actual animation, I just had to color it. And it's like, it just takes so long, and you're like, I just want this to be done. At least for me, that's how it's always been. It's always been, I'm now sick of working on this, I've been working on this for like a week, I want it to be done, so I can move on to the next thing. So, there you have it. In the end, I think the image came out pretty well. Like most of the things I create, it's not perfect, but it definitely has an element that's like, yeah, this was definitely made by Matt. No professionals here, no professionals required. It's that level of quality that doesn't show, I guess is a good way of putting it. It's a lot of, a lot of time and effort did go into this, but you can't tell on the surface. And that's alright. That's kind of how I've always been my whole life. I'm not broken up about it. But, thank you all for checking out this video. And if you made it all the way to the end, well, congratulations. You're the real hero here. Yeah. Let me know in the comments below if you liked this video, if you liked it better than the last one, if you even saw the last one, if you any of the ideas I talked about toward the middle of this that you might be interested in, or anything at all, anything and everything. Tell me how your day was. I really, I'm just always open to any feedback I can get. So, thank you all for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next project. Take care.